Of course, we can't talk about the Italian Renaissance without dealing with ceilings, and I promise we won't be dealing with the Sistine Chapel. It's just too famous, and I have to put that art history side behind me in interior design. So, let's talk about their ceilings. One of the forms that we often see will be a beamed ceiling, and this is where we see these large wooden beams breaking up the space. Within them, often we will see geometric forms, or they will frame in individual paintings. And these beams are frequently not structural. These are false beams. The idea is coming from Northern Europe, and they're just using it to break up the space, especially a hallway like this. You can imagine one continuous ceiling would get to be a bit much, but by breaking it up, you create a sense of rhythm, and you create a sense of interest as you move through the space. Then we have coved ceilings, and I swear that's really not the Sistine Chapel sneaking in on the left, but a cove ceiling is one where we have a semi-rounded dome, usually a flat surface, sometimes a slight shallow arch surface, as we see in this ceiling that will remain unnamed over here. And typically there are going to be coves cut into it. Now, you will not see any serious ribs. This is not a Gothic ceiling. Oftentimes, the ribs that you do see are going to be trompe l'oeil work, as we see here in the ceiling that shall remain unnamed, where none of this plasterwork actually exists. This is all painted in trompe l'oeil by that guy who's named after a Ninja Turtle. Then we have coffered ceilings. Now, a coffered ceiling is where they've basically cut out sections. This is something that's being inspired by the Pantheon in Rome, which has a famous coffered ceiling. Now there they did it to keep it light. In the Renaissance, they're not doing it to keep it light, they're doing it to break up that ceiling. The idea of a massive white ceiling over your head is anathema to them. They don't like it. It's space that could be decorated, that could be beautified. And in light of the Black Death that had swept through the land, of course, what's the point? If you're going to die soon anyway, potentially, of the Black Death or whatever else, why not live in a beautiful space? Why not take aesthetics into account? We also famously see ceiling paintings. And this is where we start to see trompe l'oeil applied to ceilings, oftentimes opening up the space. The one on the left is meant to look as if you're looking into a dome, even though that ceiling is perfectly flat. But if you stand at the right place, it looks like you're looking up into this absolutely massive dome with a lantern, all the lighting and everything else. And you can imagine the mathematics that go into that to make the coffering on that painted ceiling look accurate, to make sure everything fits into place. On the right, this is a painting by Andrea Mantegna, and this is the ceiling of the Camera Picta. This is actually meant to be in a bedroom looking over the marriage bed. These people all, watching, and it can be pooty, it can be whatever, but small naked babies looking down on the marital bed doesn't seem to set an amorous mood today. You be the judge of that. But the idea was to encourage the wife to be fertile, encourage the couple to be fertile. And it also opens up the space, giving you the illusion that you're actually looking out into the sky. And we see these quite commonly. Here's another example where that roundel in the center is actually on a shallow domed ceiling, so that what looks like a deep dome in the center doesn't actually exist. And again, we have people looking over. This is a way for artists to show off their abilities. Hey, look, I can foreshorten, I can use trompe l'oeil. And it's a way for people to have a space that seems far more open than it is. And of course, there are other ceilings that come into play during the Renaissance and use all of these techniques to great effect. Here, focusing on the nude human form as capturing human potential in very Renaissance humanist terms. Not that this is an important ceiling or anything.